Hello everyone, and do I have a story for you today? I actually had called one of our genetic genealogists, Kim, to talk to her about another case, and while I was on the phone with her, she said, "Did I ever tell you about my Alex case?" And I said, "No, tell me about it." She said, "It's such a fascinating story." She wasn't lying, guys. Buckle up your seatbelts because my mind's blown. So I'm going to do my best to tell the story, but I'm probably going to have some missing pieces of it. And what I'll do is I'll make sure that Kim watches this. And if y'all have any questions, if you need some of the gaps filled in, just leave a comment and I'll make sure that Kim goes and answers y'all's questions. So her client came to her. Her fictitious name is Alex. You know, I'm big on those fictitious names. In order for it to make sense in my brain, I have to give everybody a name, and of course I have to be fictitious. So I'm calling her client Alex. So Alex came to her and she didn't know. You know, we usually say, are you adopted? Are you an NPE? Are you donor conceived? And her answer was, I honestly don't know. I think that I may have been stolen, or maybe I was given away. But what happened was when she was around 16 years old, she went to go get her driver's license. And she wasn't able to get her driver's license because her birth certificate information didn't match her social security number, or the numbers were wrong, something to that effect. And she wasn't able to get it. So she went to her mom and explained the situation, and her mom kind of came up with some weird story, and she's like, well, I need to get my real birth certificate. She ended up getting her hands on her original birth certificate, but when she did, her parents, neither one of her mom or her dad, their names weren't listed on her birth certificate. And when she confronted mom said, oh, well, okay, so your dad's not your dad. The guy that's listed on your birth certificate is your father. I'm gonna have to give him a name too. We're gonna call him Matt. So Matt's your father, and I guess after you were born, I was out of it, and he had to fill in the birth certificate, and he was in such a frenzy that he put one of his ex-girlfriend's names as the mother instead of my name. Red flag, right? Doesn't make sense. So she was young. She was 16. She was able, that her mother, they ended up getting an amended birth certificate with her, who she thought was her mother's name on it. Fast forward, she had known that her mother had a child before she was born. She knew she had a half brother out there that her mother, I guess, had kind of abandoned, had left with his father. And so she went looking for him, and I want to say she was already into her 40s when this happened. So she went, she found him, and for fun, they decided to take a DNA test. This is where it always gets really interesting, right? So her and her brother take a DNA test to get the results back, and they aren't related at all. They're supposed to have the same mom. And it's apparent that her brother matches the mom's side, but she doesn't. So she goes to her mom, and her mom is, of course, what do moms say when they, want to deny? Oh, those tests aren't accurate. That's not true. I'm your mom. Don't be fooled by that. So there was just too many red flags that our client needed to find answers. So she came to us, and Kim got to work on her DNA. She had good matches on the paternal side, and they were Jewish, and Kim is our Jewish expert. If you have a Jewish case and you need help, Kim is your girl. So Kim was able to find that line, but the man that was listed on her birth certificate did not match with the DNA. So they decided to try and contact I think it was down to 2 brothers, and both of the brothers had passed away already, who the DNA did line up to, and that family was no help. They didn't know the name, and the biological mom, the name that was listed on the birth certificate was a very common name. It would be like looking for an Anne Green, and Green has 4 different kinds of spellings, so that was hard. So they didn't know anything about Anne Green. They weren't any help at all. So then Kim says, well, who is this Matt guy that's listed on the birth certificate? He had a really uncommon name. They were able to find him, and he was just a very colorful character in the story. He was a con man, a swindler, had been married many times. One of the wives that he had been married to said that he was from the Secret Service and just up and left the family one day, and he had tried to start some churches and was swindling money out of people. He was just a really colorful character. Turns out that he is not at all her biological father, which our client was very, very happy about. But this case is just one big mystery after another. The adopted mom is still alive, and the adoptive mom is just saying, you know, no help at all. So we talked about the paternal line was solved, but those two brothers, there wasn't any help in that family. The maternal side was really hard as far as the DNA, because it was a German family, and her highest match was 150 centimorgans, and then it went down to 30 centimorgans. She had 2 matches. That was it, just 2 matches on that side. So Kim starts working with that 150 match, and she thinks as long as I build out this tree large enough, she's hoping to run into that really common Angreen name, which she doesn't. And so this case is taking months and months and months. Finally, they had a breakthrough in that they found a Facebook page for a name, and the same name, Angreen, and the lady looked a lot like her. This is, now there's probably 500 Facebook pages with this name. They got really lucky. So they found this Facebook page, they contacted her, and guess what? They had the right woman. She is the mom. So the story, the real story, what happened is that the Matt, the guy that was on the birth certificate, and the adoptive mom had they were working in an apartment complex, like managing an apartment complex, and they had met a lady named Rebecca, fictitious, that was pregnant, and she already had 2 small kids, and she was afraid of losing the baby to the system, and so she had agreed. She knew that adoptive mom wasn't able to have kids and wanted a baby, so she agreed to let her adopt her baby. When they went into the hospital, Matt was the one with, this part's a little sketchy to me, Matt was the one with insurance, so Matt was the one that signed the birth certificate, and when Rebecca gave the baby to the adoptive mom, they were understanding that they were going to continue a relationship and be able to see our client, which didn't happen. Mom took the baby and ran. So she found out in her 40s that she was adopted. We call that LDA, late discovery adoptee. Still to this day, adoptive mom denies everything. She's just gonna go to the grave with this lie, and the client is in contact with the bio mom. They do have a relationship, and it's great. She has a full brother, which is super awesome. So it does have a really cool ending, but man, it took a long time to get there. If you have any questions, I'm sure you will, just leave a comment, and I'll make sure Kim comes back and answers all those questions for you. See you next time.